all, Christina here from Relinquish Yoga and Wellness with a practice for you today on depression. So I wanted to talk a little bit about depression before we get into the practice, and I've got some nice stats here. This is from Safe Harbor Alternative Mental Health, and they say that there's a lot of different causative factors for depression. And I will say there's big D depression and there's little d depression. Big D depression is the kind that requires medication or some type of intervention. Little d depression is normal. It's what we go through with major life events like a loss of some kind. So other things, causative factors, can be for big D or little d: nutritional deficiency, lack of exercise, lack of sleep, lack of sunshine, thyroid issues, fibromyalgia, candida, poor adrenal function, food allergies, undiagnosed infection, and conditions like diabetes, chronic pain, head injury, heart disease, lung cancer, among others. So clearly, there's a lot of causative factors. Depression can be a side effect for different medications, so it's really important to consult with a medical professional if you are experiencing depression. Now, what's the role of yoga in this depression? So yoga is a great complementary therapy or a complementary practice for whatever your primary treatment is, whether it's counseling, medication, whatever your doctor has you doing. So yoga can improve the neurotransmitter systems in the body. It can improve immunity, and it can improve your neuroendocrine function. And those things are really involved in our response to stress, which is why yoga is so helpful for them. So sometimes what might appear to be depression is actually more accurately termed depletion. So there's a difference between the two. Depletion is something that a lot of us can relate to. So I'm also going to show you guys a little bit of a infographic. It's very high tech on the nervous system. So polyvagal theory tells us that there are different branches to the nervous system that are responsible for different things. So at the top of this ladder, this hierarchy of the nervous system, we would be in a state that in yoga we call sattva, which is just balance. This is homeostasis. This is kind of where we want to spend most of our time. And in polyvagal theory, this is called the ventral vagal nervous system, or the ventral vagal system. And this is kind of the rest and digest. This is where the healing happens. This is where we want to be. So when we start to move down the ladder, we actually move into the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system in yoga, we would call that a rajas energy. It's this fight or flight energy. It's when we're on alert. There's some kind of threat in our body. Our system is responding to it. And then at the bottom of the ladder is when we close down. We shut down. We're in the freeze response. We immobilize. In polyvagal theory, this is called the dorsal vagal state. And in yoga, we would call this a tamas energy. And for the most part, this is where depression lives. There can be a little bit of this rajas energy mixed up in depression. If you have a depression that's more related to anger turned inward, that might be more rajas. But usually when we think of depression, most of us think of tamas. So this is your nervous system. And you're about to experience your nervous system on yoga. So let's get started. First, we're just going to have a quick check-in. Make sure that you have a bolster handy and a chair, because we're going to use those. So pause the video now if you need to go grab anything you need to be comfortable. Make sure you're in super comfy clothing, super comfy environment if possible. And then settle into a comfortable seat and allow your gaze to soften or your eyes to close. to draw your attention inward just to notice the breath. It's so important when you're experiencing depression of any sort to celebrate the victories, however big or small. And in my book, every breath we take is a victory. No effort on our part, just allows the breath to move in and move out. And there's a sense of aliveness that comes into the body with the in-breath. We're drawing in all the things that we need. Our breath is a reminder that we can do that. And the out-breath is a reminder that we can let go of all of the things that we don't need, that things that are not helpful. So just watching the breath move in and out. And then take a deep breath in, pause, and then to exhale. We're going to do 2 more just like that. Breathing in, pause. Last one. And then allow your eyes to slowly blink open if they were closed. And we're going to begin on the back today. And have your bolster handy. We're going to use it. You're going to place it vertically on your mat. Place your hips on the bolster and then lie back so that your shoulders are towards the mat and either touching the mat gently or hovering just above the mat. Take your arms out generously to the side to give the breath room to move. And then you're welcome to keep your eyes open or close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And just notice the energy in your body. As the breath moves in, drawing energy in. As the breath moves out, imagine the energy moving down towards the earth to create a base of support. So energy drawing in on the in-breath. Energy moving down towards the earth to create a base of support. Couple more breaths here. And then take your hands to your belly. Draw the knees in towards your chest. And then remembering that you're elevated a bit, roll to one side off of the bolster. Alternatively, you could lift your hips up and slide the bolster out. And then come up into a seat just enough to move the bolster to the side. And then come back down into a comfortable lying down position. Feeling your feet on the mat, the hips on the mat, shoulders, the back of your head. And sense into the movement of the breath. The vitality of the breath. So the breath is the vehicle for prana to move. Prana is the life force energy, like qi in Chinese medicine. So prana moving through the body with the breath. And then allow the in-breath to float the hips up, taking the right arm up and overhead, and then release down. Reverse sides, in-breath, floating the hips up, this time the left arm moving up and overhead. Right arm moving up and over. Exhale, soften back down. This time, left arm. Now this time, lift the hips, lift the arms, pause and hold. Come back to that sense of vitality, of energy with the breath. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, release down to the mat. Hug your knees in. Exhale. Inhale, press your feet up to the ceiling, arms overhead. Exhale, release your arms to your sides. Release your feet to the mat. We're going to do the same thing over again. Inhale, floating the hips up, arms move overhead. Exhale, release down. Hug the knees in. Inhale, float the feet up, arms overhead. Exhale, draw the knees in. Release the arms down and the feet down. Again, inhale, lifting the hips, lift the arms. Exhale, releasing down, draw the knees in. Inhale, floating the feet up, arms overhead. Exhale, arms float down, feet make it back to the mat. Again, inhale, lift. Exhale, release back to the mat, arms hugging in the knees to the chest. Inhale, feet floating up, arms overhead. Exhale, arms floating down, feet to the mat. Last time, inhale, lift. Exhale, soften, release, hug in. Inhale, floating the feet up, arms overhead. Exhale, arms float down, feet to the mat. Pause and just notice. And then open the arms so that the shoulders hug under just a little bit. And you can sense an openness across the chest. Then sensing into your feet, allow the hips to float off of the mat. Pause. Keep your gaze at the ceiling here. And imagine at the chest a golden ball of light. When you breathe in, the light brightens, perhaps it expands. And when you breathe out, it softens and diffuses throughout the body. Breathing in, this golden ball of light brightens and expands. And as you breathe out, it gets digested, it gets processed, it gets integrated into the tissues of your body. Take 2 or 3 more breaths here. And when you're ready, allow your hips to release to the mat. Pause and just notice. Hug your knees in. Rock a little side to side. Roll to one side and come to a tall kneeling position. Use a blanket under the knees if that would be helpful. For me, I'm on a hard floor here, so that would definitely be helpful. I'm actually going to come this way. So come into a tall kneeling position. And find an alignment that feels soft and comfortable. So not worrying too much about it. Maybe something that feels open, something that feels like it's allowing the breath to move and that you are able to have a relationship with the movement of energy in the body, if you're able to sense that. So from here, inhale and float the arms up any amount. Exhale, you're going to release the arms, send your hips back towards your heels, and take your gaze in one direction. So if you need to pause halfway because that's where your body is, or keep the hips high, that's just fine. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, release to the other side, gazing in the opposite direction. Inhale, arms floating up. Exhale, release. So this dance between the in-breath and the out-breath, allowing the breath and the movement to be married here. We're going to do one more on each side. Inhaling up, exhale, release. Last one. This time, inhale up, exhale, hands to your heart. Pause and notice. So from here, I'm going to mirror you. You're going to take your right leg out to the side. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. People usually either like to have their foot up here or their foot forward. I find in my body and in most bodies having the foot up feels better, but you're welcome to take care of yourself. And then you have your standing leg here, the knee of the standing leg and the heel of that extended leg roughly in a line. Not too worried about perfection here. There's nothing to win. There's no yoga police that are going to come after us. It's just alignment feels better. There's a movement of energy. It's able to travel along the kinetic chain a little bit better, which is what we need, especially if we're in a state of depression or having a hard time. We need that energy. So from here, we're going to take the breath, the arm up and over as we breathe in. And then take your gaze down, and that top arm is going to move into a cactus arm shape. Then take your gaze back to neutral or up if that feels okay, lifting that left arm. Exhale, gaze down, coming into a cactus arm. Couple more. Inhale, lift. Exhale. The next time you exhale, we're going to pause here. So inhale and lift, and then exhale, pause, gaze down, cactus arm, fingers wide, and then think about breathing into the upper ribs. So feeling the breath move in the upper ribs, kind of in that armpit area. Take one more breath there. And then go ahead and walk your foot back, coming into this tall kneeling. And now take your left leg out to the side. Same options, heel roughly in line with your standing leg knee. And then comfortable in the body. So you're welcome to keep even this knee bent. If that feels more comfortable for you in this moment, you could be here. Otherwise, this time floating the right arm up and over, breathing in and breathe out. Gaze down, top arm comes into a cactus. Inhale, lift, and really it's a lift through the whole system. Exhale, gaze down. Inhale, lift, gazing neutral or up. Exhale. exhale, release. Again. And we'll do one more after this. Inhale here. And exhale, pause. Think about breathing into these upper ribs. Fingers wide if that feels good. Drawing in everything we need on that in-breath and releasing everything we don't on the out-breath. Last breath here. Then release. Go ahead and come, actually walking that foot forward, tuck your back toes, and we're going to come up to standing. So take that blanket aside for now. And then take your chair to the top of your mat. Make sure it's nice and secure. And then we're going to flow a little bit. So before we do, kind of just find your place in space. Think about the boundaries of your body. Notice the movement of the breath. And first we're just going to do some breathing in connection with the arms. So if it's helpful for you to imagine there's a golden ball of light at your heart center, and then the light brightening, expanding as you breathe in, softening and dissolving as you breathe out, then stick with that imagery. So first we're going to breathe in and take the arms just a little bit out to the side. And then soften, breathe out. This time we're going to take it a little more. Inhale, arms moving a little bit higher. Exhale, softening back where we started. Inhale a little more, so like a sunrise here. The arms coming above the horizon. With each breath, a little bit more expansion. So in yoga, this idea of expansion is called spanda. And it's a broad concept of expansion. So the expansion of the universe is a really big spanda. But when we move and breathe in a particular way that allows the energy to move, sometimes we experience spanda physically and energetically, and maybe mentally and emotionally, and maybe spiritually as well. So working your way all the way up, whatever's comfortable for you. So that might mean your arms are wide. So find your place. And then inhale here. Exhale, sink your hips down and back. Arms move to cactus arms. Inhale, float the arms overhead. Press up, exhale, chair, Utkatasana here, cactus arms. So coming tall, reaching up, and then sinking down, opening the chest here. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's a dog barking. My neighbor's dog is barking. Great opportunity to practice that inward focus, that present centered awareness. So instead of trying to shut it out, all the things that are happening, like right now there's also a plane flying overhead. So all of those things become a part of your present moment experience, which is not something you need to push away. Just accept it as it is. So the next time you breathe in here, exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Come to the chair and bow, pause for a breath. Take your right leg, step back, any amount, and then press yourself up here. Think about lifting through the front body and grounding through the back body. So the chest is open, it's lifted. Feel the breath moving. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, find that cactus arm place of openness in the chest. The hands are a little bit active. So in yoga, the arms and the hands are connected to the heart chakra, which can be depleted whenever we're experiencing depression. So we want to make sure we tend to the things that we're needing in the moment. Inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward, coming to the chair, and step that left leg back into plank. So again, the chest is broad, lifting through the crown of the head. There's a line of energy from the heels all the way up through the crown. There's not sagging happening or anything wonky. There's just strength and stability. Stability, definitely something that we need to be connected to when we're having a hard time. Then lifting that right leg, step the right leg forward, plant the back foot, and press yourself up. Again, lifting through the front body, releasing down through the back body, staying connected at the foundation in the feet, feeling the movement of the breath. And then inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, cactus arms. Hands are active, pause. Inhale, lift here. Exhale, hinge forward at the hip, coming to the chair. Stepping the right leg back, another plank, another opportunity to connect with your strength and stability. From here, send your hips up and back for a downward facing dog. So wiggle the hips a little bit, pedal the feet, maybe take your gaze left and right, whatever helps you to be comfortable here in stillness. And then the side body's long, shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. The head is just kind of floating between the biceps, and it's all good. One more breath here. And step forward, coming into a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, mountain pose, Tadasana. Mountain, stable and strong and elevated. So coming back where we started, we're just going to take a few breaths this time, sunrise breaths. And again, if that imagery of a golden ball of light is helpful, then use it. Feeling the shift in energy possibly as there's a focus here on the in-breath and drawing in. And then exhaling here, moving into chair, taking the arms into cactus. The chest is open. Inhaling up, exhale. Couple more. Last one here. And then inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at your hips, coming all the way to the chair, pausing just for a beat. Stepping the left leg back this time, and press yourself up. Lifting through the front body, grounding through the back body. Having a sense of the movement of the breath, of the energy, and then floating the arms up. Exhale, cactus arms, pause. So hands are active and maybe even the arms are a little bit active here. Certainly the low body is active, at least in my body. And then just be with yourself with kindness and compassion and a sense of celebration. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, hinge forward. Taking your hands to the chair and stepping back into plank. Connecting with that stability and strength. Then lifting the left foot, stepping the left leg forward, plant your back foot, and come up. Lifting through the front body, grounding through the back body. Finding that breath. Then inhale, floating the arms up. Exhale, cactus arms. Strong in the hands, strong in the arms. Easy breath. Golden ball of light if that's helpful for you. One more breath here. And on your next in-breath, float the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, hands to the chair, stepping back to plank. Connecting with that stability and that strength. Core is engaged. Support from within and support from without. Then coming into a downward facing dog. So bending the knees any amount. Shoulders are soft, head floating between the biceps, wiggles or stillness, whatever your body prefers. And then easy breath. Then come forward into a halfway lift, so flat back, lengthening tail to crown. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, back to neutral. Pause and just be with yourself for a minute. If you are experiencing depression and you've made it this far into the practice, huge congratulations. Work your way up. If you haven't made it this far but you're watching, keep going. It's okay. Every day you'll be able to do a little more. And really, the practice is a means to an end. Taking care of yourself, self-care, celebrating your, getting out of bed is a celebration whenever you're having a big D depression. Go ahead and step wide on your mat with the hips open to whatever amount feels comfortable for you. So a comfortable way to stand, there's no compression or ickiness anywhere in the body. And then inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, you guessed it, cactus arms, send the hips down. Inhale, reach up through the fingers. Maybe gaze up, exhale, come back. Inhaling one more time, lifting up. Exhale here. Pause. So this is your fierce goddess warrior pose here. Because your strength is there. You just have to see it. I see it. I know it's there. You've got this. So go ahead and from here, release the arms. Come back up in the legs. Whichever hip is facing forward. So for me, left hip. Open up that hip towards the front of the mat. And then you might need to take your back hip and rotate it in a little bit to be comfortable. So everyone will probably have a little bit of a difference in how much they want to rotate that to be comfortable. So take care of yourself. Now, from here, we're going to hinge, which is really just moving the pelvis along the leg bones here. So you're moving the pelvis along the leg bones. Take your bottom arm and allow it to rest on your leg. If you know you have a tendency to lock out your knees, be careful with that, little micro bend. Opposite hand on your hip, the top arm. And then the chest is still a little bit open, so resist if your body feels like it wants to rotate down towards the mat. Keep things open and out to the side, and then gaze down. Inhale, gaze up, float that top arm up. So meet it with your gaze. Energy's lifting. Exhale, release your arm, gaze down. Inhale, floating the arm up, meeting it with your gaze, and reverse. do this one more time. Pause here. So spanda here. Think about expansion happening. So maybe there's a golden ball of light and the light is expanding. Maybe the light's not there and you just feel the energy expanding and being diffused outward. And then come back into a position where the legs are out to the side. Take a breath. Let's take that ah breath. So inhale. Now take your leg. That was the back leg, so for me it's my right leg. Open up that hip and then decide what you want to do with that back hip. So into a place that feels really comfortable in your body. There's no compression or pinching or sensation anywhere. And then pelvis is going to move on the leg bones. So pelvis moving on the leg bones. Knees have a micro bend. Bottom arm resting on the leg. Top arm just hand on your hip. Take your gaze down. Inhale, lift your gaze and lift your arm, floating the gaze up to meet the arm. And reverse, releasing the arm, take your gaze down. Inhale, take your gaze up. Exhale, reverse. Again, inhale here. And then pause. So think about the energy lifting here, this idea of spanda in the midst of the effort. For me, there's a lot of effort happening here. If you feel like you need to hold your breath, or if the breath becomes jumpy, then do less. One more breath. And then come out of it, bending that front leg. Orient yourself back out to the side. So step to the top of your mat. And we're getting ready to move down. So you're welcome, if you like that little flow that we did earlier, you're welcome to go back to that spot and do that again. I'll try to put in the comments the timestamp for that. So, otherwise we're going to get ready to move down. So inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. Pause in your forward fold. Letting the knees bend to whatever extent you need to rest your torso on your thighs. Maybe your forehead rests on your chair. And then take a step back with your right leg. Release your knee to the mat, and we are going to be on the knees for a moment, so if you would like to pad your knees, as I will, you are more than welcome to do that. And you can take your chair over to the side. We will use it at the end. So come into this place where the back toes are tucked, the front of the hip is open, you're lifting through the body. Now you can be at right angles here. You're welcome to come a little bit more forward as long as it feels okay in your hips. And just take your hands and rest them on your front leg, your front thigh. So even here, there's a sense of lifting through the front body and releasing through the back body. Literally, just letting things roll off the back. Then float your right arm up and pause. So there's energy happening all along this side of the body, from the knee up to the fingertips. So notice that. Take one more breath. And then release your arm, draw your hips back so you can step this left leg back. Take the right leg forward. So back toes are tucked. And you decide, right angles, maybe a little bit forward if it feels good in the body. What we want to avoid is taking that upper leg bone and jamming it into the hip socket. So make sure if you move forward that it's a pure movement that's happening. And then from here, just rest your hands on your thigh and pause. Then allow the left arm to float overhead and notice the energy from your knee of that standing leg all the way up to the fingertips. Then release your arm, take your hips back so that you can step your right leg back. Come into hands and knees. Wiggle the hips a little bit. Find your breath in, broadening the chest. Exhale, pressing away from the mat. Round your low back and press your hips back towards your heels. We're going to do a couple of these. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, release back. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, release. Pause here. If it's comfortable, rest your forehead on the mat, or you could stack your hands. Then coming back to hands and knees, step your right toes back, just extending at the hip. Pause. If this feels comfortable, extend the left arm forward as if you were shaking someone's hand. If this feels comfortable, lift that right leg. So engage right at the glute crease. And as if you were stretching out in opposite directions from the middle, but then also hugging in. So there's like a center, there's an anchor there. One more breath. And then release the leg, release the arm, step the left leg back to meet the right in a little plank. You're welcome to have the knees down here, just pausing to connect with that stability and that strength. And then this time, coming back to hands and knees, step the left leg back, toes to the mat. If it feels okay, floating the right arm up as if you were shaking someone's hand. And if it feels okay, engaging the left leg to extend the leg, lifting the foot. And then reaching out, that spanda, but also staying anchored and hugging in. Take 2 more breaths. And then release the leg, release the arm. Step the right leg back to meet the left. Low plank, knees down is a great option. Reaching through the crown of the head. And release your knees. Take your knees wide and press back into a child's pose. So big toes together. And then be here and just take a couple of breaths. You're welcome to find some gentle wiggles and movement if that feels good. Then walk your hands back towards your knees. Go ahead and take your blanket to the side and make your way down onto your belly. Tops of the feet on the mat. And then if you have low back issues, take the legs a little wider, maybe as wide as the mat. Take your hands under your shoulders and slide them back so that the elbows lift up gently. The elbows are energetically moving towards one another. Feet are gently pressing into the mat, sense into your pubic bone, so your kind of center of your body. Lifting forward through the crown of the head and gaze down. So on an in-breath, draw a line forward with the nose and up, lifting and expanding in the chest, and then exhale, release down. So we're going to do this a couple of times, just a gentle lift Inhale, drawing the line with the nose, lifting through the crown of the head, and release. So it's a gentle arc. Inhale, lift. And we'll do one more. So there's no competition here, nothing to win. Pause here. So the hands are really more for support than they are for weight bearing, but use that support here. So shoulders are relaxed away from the ears, the elbows are gently drawing together, chest is open and reaching forward through the sternum. One last breath. And then release. So press yourself up. Cross your legs, walk your hands back. We're going to come down onto the back. And then for this, your chair, go ahead and get it ready actually. We're going to use it for a short meditation. So hug your knees in. Inhale, allow the knees to float away from your body, arms extending out long. Exhale, draw the arms in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, draw in. Couple more here, just kind of coming back into neutral. And then take your legs up to the chair. So different bodies are going to be shaped differently. You should feel like the back of your knee is supported. If, depending on the length of your leg bones and the height of your chair, you feel like you need a little bit more support, you're welcome to use a blanket or a bolster or any kind of support under the hips, which even for me makes this more comfortable. And then find a position where you can completely let go. Easier said than done, right? Your arms can be out to the side, or you can keep your hands on your belly if it's nice to feel the breath moving in the body. And then find a sense of ease, releasing the muscles around the eyes and the scalp, the jaw muscles, the throat, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the palms of the hands are soft. The back body releasing into the support beneath you. Side ribs have ease. Chest soft. Belly soft and released. Pelvic floor released. Hips are heavy. And the leg bones just falling down into the socket. The lower legs resting on the chair, supported. The soles of the feet soft. If the eyes are not closed already, allow the eyes to close. And I'm going to move up so I can speak this meditation to y'all. So just have a sense that each breath is an invitation for ease. And that there's an integration of the movement of energy that's happened during the practice is now settling into the tissue at a cellular level. And perhaps sensing that spanda or that expansion. So notice the sense of the diaphragm expanding downward and the arising of the energy into the heart. The exhale will naturally come. Feel as the breath comes in a sense of the radiance or the energy at the center of the heart, that place where we had the golden ball of light. With an inhale, have a sense of the expansion of the breath or the energy center of the heart expanding. And perhaps as the exhale goes, a soft pulsation or movement inward toward the center of the heart. Feeling the radiant sense of light at the center of the heart, expanding across the collarbones and starting to rise toward the head. Exhale, feeling a sense of subtle contraction or withdrawal, just enough. Feeling the pulsation of the glowing light originating at the center of the heart and now expanding up to the head, the nose, the eyes, the ears. Perhaps feeling a sense of light or radiance in the nose, the mouth, the ears, all the ways that we take in life energy, life force, now radiant. Feeling that sense of the inhale that expands the light, now moving from the heart to the head and softly pulsating or receding on the exhale. Imagine that you could take in through the senses all of the qualities of vital life force, all the nutrients coming in through the eyes, the mouth, the ears, the heart, what we eat, what we drink, conversations we have with nourishing people we know, the ways that we receive love, feeling as if your cup were being filled. This is prana. There's a sense of upliftment when we're nourished, having vital energy enough to go around because our cup is filled. And beginning to feel that sense of light moving to the crown of the head, and just above the crown of the head, perhaps a flower or even another orb of light, just above the crown of the head. Beginning to feel here with each inhale that the light at the crown of the head begins to shower down around you, or perhaps moves through you like streams moving down a mountain. There's a sense of what we understand, what has been assimilated now can be circulated as dynamic vital energy. You might feel that sense of energy coming from the crown of the head to the base of the body at the sacrum, coming back in, circulation of subtle energy, but also the circulation of the physical, feeling a sense of how the heart pumps through the veins and the arteries, how the lungs breathe, moving oxygen through the body, and you feel that everything is not only working harmoniously in its parts, but also in its wholeness. That there is actually a wholeness here, all of the systems of the body working together harmoniously. So we're going to pause here, and you won't hear my voice for a minute or so. So just be with this sense of the movement of energy, this sense of wholeness, the systems in your body moving towards homeostasis and balance, or sattva, that ventral vagal state of rest and digest. Now staying with this sense of energy, notice the breath. We're going to play with the in-breath here for a moment. So notice the breath moving in and releasing out. Now think about the in-breath, and we're going to divide it in two, as if you were walking upstairs and then there's a landing that you come to. So inhale part way, tiny pause for that landing, and then inhale the rest of the way. Allow the breath to move out. Inhale, come to a landing, pause, inhale the rest of the way, and release the breath out. this feels comfortable and you would like to, you have the option to do 2 landings. So breath moving in, pause, in, pause, in, and then breath moving out. So we're just taking the normal exhale and pausing during the inhale, not the exhale. Inhale, pause. Inhale, pause. The last bit of the inhale, and then allow the exhale to move out. So you could divide your inhale into 2, into 3, or just keep it one continuous inhale if that's what's working better for you today. Inhale, pause. Inhale, pause. Inhale, and release. We'll just take a couple more, whichever version you're doing. And then allow the breath to move back into a regular breathing pattern. Breath moving in and breath releasing out. And just observing the breath without having to do anything to change it or manipulate it, allowing it to just be. And notice the physical body and how you feel in this moment. Notice your energy and your mental emotional state. And any shifts that have happened, take note of, and after the practice, maybe journal a little bit. You can take that information to your therapist or whatever healthcare practitioner is caring for you in this state. And we'll take final breaths together here. Allow the breath to move in through your nose and out through your nose. Again, in through your nose and out. Final breath, deep breath in. This time exhale out of your mouth. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. If you would like to send me any feedback or questions or anything of that nature, you can check out my website, www.relinquishwell.com, and I would be happy to respond. Have a wonderful season that you're in, moving